we prepare for the weekend, we see which ones are our swing trades actually. Yeah. Want to see
Yeah.
if we can find any swing trades. So this is the weekly time frame, gold. And you know how I like to highlight the high and the low of the previous week, because for price to go any higher, it will have to break the high and the low,
Yeah.
right? But then also I'm going to highlight this high, because if you are to look if we are to look at this structure right here, right, you
Yeah.
can see that price entered, it broke this high, right, and then
Yeah.
it entered into this week. So I'm thinking before it goes any, if before it drops, right, if it is to drop, it has high chances of dropping, but if it does drop, it will complete this week fill before it goes any lower. Because
Got you.
on that week fill, right, there's also there's also sub I mean resistance. There's also resistance. If you can look at this close, the
Yeah.
open this candle, that's the resistance. So if price is going to go any higher, or if it has any other resistance to test before it drops, it should be that one.
Okay.
Yes. Just give me a minute. I want to change something. Okay, much better. No, wait, just give me a second. Right. Hmm. Okay, that's fine. Sorry about that.
It's all good.
Okay, calm down. No, no, fine. There we go. All right. So that's the week fill that we're expecting, right? If it does go any higher, but I wouldn't expect it to go any higher than that before it retests. Because if you look, remember, gold always retests. If you are to
Yeah.
look at gold, where whatever it breaks, it always retests. So if we are to look at when price made the low, this is the rejection that we were expecting, right? And then it broke out, it retested over there. So now we have another breakout here, right? We have to expect price to retest before it can push any higher.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying if it is going to drop from now, that will be fine for the retest, right? But if it doesn't and it pushes any higher, I would expect it to complete the weak fill and then drop to retest before, and then it can go higher.
Yeah. Got
I wouldn't expect it to go higher before it retests. Then if we go on the daily time frame, right? On the daily time frame, I would only highlight last week's breakout. Because remember, we need structure for price to give us something, and this was our structure, and then price broke out. So from this breakout, we don't have any retest, so we can expect price to retest before it pushes higher. So
you.
that's what we would like to see. And if we go on the 4 hour time frame, that's when things get interesting. So on the 4 hour time frame, right, you can notice how price wanted to reject around here. I think it's actually much more clear on the 1 hour time frame. Do you see this area right here, right? This was before news. That was on Friday before news, right? So we had price ranging around this area. I would say also put this low. Right. So we had price ranging around this area, right? And price didn't want to break this high on Friday, right? And then when news came out that pushed price higher, right? But if the news was if it was strong or if it was very bullish, right? Or if price wanted to go higher, we should have seen price going higher from here. Because even if you look at other pairs, right, they went higher, but gold rejected to go any higher from here, right? You can even
Yeah.
see how price went high, closed, right, and then it came back to retest, right? And then it still went higher, but price got rejected at this resistance. So
Yeah.
considering that price keeps on getting rejected at this resistance, right, it's what's telling me that price might not have any gas to push forward, to push any higher. We might see price coming back down to this level, our Friday level, right? Maybe it's a little bit of a consolidation before it pushes for the retest, and then price, we can see price going higher. So I would say this is our setup, right? Our gold setup for this week. So
Yeah.
if we are to catch this sell for price to push higher, that's when I say let's see how far it is, that week fill, because we need that. We might get the week fill before price pushes higher, but considering how price has been rejecting it's a little bit too high, so I wouldn't expect price to reach all the way up there. So I would say from here, right, you want price to keep on rejecting this high, because this is the high that price keeps on rejecting, right? On Friday it rejected three times right here, right? And then today, earlier this morning, it pushed higher and got rejected again. So that is the
Yeah.
high that I would say price needs to break to give us a fake out. If it does give us a fake out and then pull back into the range, that would confirm to us that price will push lower until it
Oh.
reaches for it to continue going up, right?
Yeah.
It
Gotcha.
does, if it doesn't give us the fake out around here, right, then we're just going to check the 30-minute time frame, because I want to show you this. Maybe it will be more, yeah, okay, it's more clear right here. So if you look at here, this is the 15-minute time frame. If you look at the 15-minute time frame, right, price did actually create some sort of a structure around this
Mhm.
area, right? Which means price could have done this and then it ranges here, right? For it to push lower. And then this is the base area that we want price to stay around for it to
Mhm.
eventually break and keep on dropping. But then the only thing that that's stopping me from believing that price will respect this high, right, is if you look at this area, right, it's pushing higher.
Mhm.
And when price keeps on pushing higher, that means price is high chances of pushing higher. We can still look out for a trade to enter for the weak fill, right? But I wouldn't say it's a smart decision to enter a buy around this area, because price is rejecting this area. Like,
Yeah.
price wasn't, because price keeps on making higher highs, it's not making any new lows, because we have a low here, right? This bearish candle, then we have bullish candle, right? And then price did try dropping, but the bearish candle is not as strong. I mean, the candles are very small, right? But that bearish candle is not as strong as the bullish candles. That means price is pushing higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say we could find, or we could have price come back and close around this high. Yes, that would aid for the weak fill, but
Mhm.
I don't think that's a very smart decision. I would wait for the sale rather. I would wait to see if price will give us any rejection candles around this area.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so what you can expect from gold this week, right? I would say expect price to give us something possibly like this, and then we can get. Uh, Let me look for it. All right, we could expect price giving us something possibly like this, right? If it does go higher, give us maybe some sort of a fake out, come back into our range, right? and then we could get the retest that we need
Yeah.
before price can push higher.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't expect price to go any higher in a situation where it's rejecting that high, because that high is being rejected.
Mhm.
All right. Which page should we do next?
Maybe Euro USD.
Euro USD. All right, Euro USD. Euro USD has been quite interesting lately. Remember last time when we talked, and I told you that Euro USD needs to give us a retracement, a proper retracement.
Mhm.
If you look at this area, it did try giving us a proper retracement. It tried, but it's not good enough. So if we look at USD, let's start on the weekly time frame. This is our weekly time frame on Euro USD, right? So we can basically say that Euro USD is still very much in a bullish trend. Why? Because if you are to look at this, price made a low around this area, right? And from this area, it has been going. If you were to count, would say maybe one, possibly two, three, four, and this would be our five. So maybe we could say this is our A, B, C, right? And then we can expect price to create some sort of a range around here for it to fall further,
Yeah.
possibly, right? This is the weekly time frame, so this will take months. However, for what we are looking for right now, right, I would say the low of last week's, right? Last week's low,
Mhm.
and then the high, right? And then the next high, if price is going to keep on pushing higher, and that is very much possible because this is a weak fill.
Yeah.
Price created resistance around this area, right? It broke out and it ended up in the range of our weak fill. So I
Mhm.
would expect price to complete this weak fill,
Yeah.
right? And for price to complete that week fill, we have to see what it's doing on the lower time frames. So if I was to go on the daily time frame right now, right, on the daily time frame, let's just adjust our week fill. On the daily time frame, this is the low, right? We're keeping the low, and then we're
Mhm.
going to move. This is our structure, and this was our
Mhm.
breakout, right? This is just the daily time frame. So
Yeah.
since that was our breakout, what do we have on the lower time frames? If we go on the 4 hour time frame, see price is clean traffic,
Yeah.
very clean traffic. Now this is where things get actually very interesting, because now you have opportunities to catch very nice trades. If you look
Okay.
at this clean traffic, right,
Mhm.
if you were to go on the 1 hour time frame, all you need is structure. Because remember, this was the breakout, right? And then price retested before news, and news was the one that pushed price to make this move, right? It
Yeah.
made this move up. But then, even though it made that move up, and on the 4 hour time frame it did retest, as you can see by this week, right, it did retest, so that's fine. But on the daily time frame, we still have some room for it to retest, because it didn't exactly retest on the daily time frame. So there is room that price could drop from here and come back to retest, especially with the fact that if you are to check this resistance, right, and then you put it right here, there's a very strong resistance right here.
Yeah.
The fact that price pushed higher, right, before this week happened, right, you can see how price was rejecting this area. We had a bearish candle, right, and then we had a bullish candle creating resistance, right, and then price broke out, pushed higher, but price still came back to close below. So that means this is a very strong resistance, right? Besides that, besides this area, even if you look at this area and even this area, we have a weak that's testing the resistance and rejecting it. So this is a strong resistance. So since this is a strong resistance, and if it manages to hold, we can get price coming back to retest before it pushes higher. So
Yeah.
having that in mind, right, I would say we go back on our 1 hour time frame, right, and we look at the structure that we're being given. Now this is the area that we want price to retest, right? It's not that much of a big trade, but it would be a very nice trade. We have structure that's being created right here. Price created a high, we have a low that was created around here, right? So we are seeing price ranging around this area. So if
Uh-huh.
price was to manage to come back to this high and comes back and closes anywhere in the range of this, we see this week right here, right?
Yeah.
If price was to do whatever it does up here and then
Mm-hmm.
comes back and closes in the range of this week with a strong bearish candle, I would suggest you take the sell. So when you take,
So okay.
huh?
The sell, right? Yeah. So it's
Yes,
going down. Okay. Gotcha.
yes, the sell. So I would suggest you take the sell and you have your first targets, let's say around here, your second targets around here, then the full trade with targets around here. So these will just be your secured profits just in case if price doesn't push all the way down here. So you know at least you have collected your share from the markets.
Got you. So you take a little you take a little partial.
Yes, exactly. Because
Yeah.
it's most likely that price would drop to here, right? Then comes back up here and then drop to there, then probably come back all the way here again before it pushes higher.
Yeah.
I mean, before it pushes lower.
Lower. Yeah.
Yes, especially with the fact that we have support that was created here and we also have support that was created here. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing with wicks. If you have a candle, right, that has a big wick like this, or even a
Mm-hmm.
wick like this, a wick
Mm-hmm.
that's a wick that you can see from afar. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
wicks like this. So when you have candles that have big wicks like this, right, they have two. Is it that they have two resistances or two supports? Because we have the first support where the
Mm-hmm.
candle closed, we have the second support where the candle initially touched and left the wick and rejected and
Yeah.
left the wick. So price would can break into this area, but it also has to break this area for it to go lower.
Yeah.
Yes. It's the same thing that we have. If you look at this, right, we had this resistance and then we had this resistance, right? So price rejected around here, right, and then dropped and then it came back. When price came back into the area, it made the wick fill and it broke out, right? But we still find price with this bearish candle coming back to retest this area because price broke out of resistance. When it broke out from the wick, when it completed the wick fill, it broke out of another high.
Mm-hmm.
That high had to be retested before it can do its push up. I'm
Ah.
thinking if this resistance wasn't strong, we should
Mm-hmm.
have seen price pushing higher.
Got you.
So the fact that it's rejecting, that means it's strong. So I would
Yeah.
say the only thing that's left for us to do, right, is to watch if price will break this low, right? If it doesn't break this low, we can find it making a fake out, coming back into the range and then push lower.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we will only know if price will do a fake out if it was to break you see, let me show you something. All right, do you see this area right here, right? I'll go on the 50-minute time frame for this case only. But if we go on the 15-minute time frame, right, you can see
Mm-hmm.
how price created some sort of a structure because now we have resistance that was created right here. So if price is going to push all the way to this high, right, it has to break this resistance. Chances are there that it will break this resistance because it's a very minor resistance and price is ranging. So chances are there that it will push all the way, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if it does break and pushes all the way, that's fine. We can even watch it to give us the fake out, that's also fine. But the moment price comes back in the range, that's your first signal. If it comes back in the range with a strong bearish candle, that's your signal that price will push lower.
Mm-hmm.
But for it to push higher to give us the fake out, it has to break this area.
Yeah.
And then we can see price giving us the fake out and then come back into the range. Then we look out for sell setups.
Okay.
Yes. But if it does manage to stay above this resistance, I highly doubt, because this seems like a strong resistance. But if it does, then watch out for for the the buy setups. I would still
Okay.
to be honest, I would still say, since it's only Monday, I would still say be careful with buy setups for your USD and gold, to be honest. Because if price had that much bullish pressure, right, it should have pushed up higher by now. So we
Yeah.
can actually expect it to do something like maybe this, may come back, right, to this area, do some sort of a range that will push price all the way down, come back again, and then for the complete move. And what makes it even more interesting, right, is if you look at pound USD, it pushed higher. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if we look at pound USD, we have all the confirmation that price was pushing higher. We have, let's look at our weekly time frame. So on the weekly time frame, right, we had price rejecting around this area, right? And if you look at last week's candle, it closed with no wicks. We have some sort of a wick up above, but that's a candle without any wicks. And we've always said we should be careful with candles like that. So if you are to look at this, right, on this is the weekly time frame. Now price, we have a resistance around here, right? And then we have a wick fill. So chances are price is trying to push for the wick fill, right? That's our first warning. Then if we go on the daily time frame, we have price breaking out of this resistance, the one that we just highlighted. And if you look at the past, if you look at this area, this area, this area, this area, we can see even this area, even though it's not touching it, it's in the range. We can say this is a pretty strong resistance, and price is not just going to break out just like that. So
Yeah.
besides, before we even look at that resistance, right, we still have this resistance, I mean now support to retest. It did retest on the lower time frames, but on the daily we haven't seen that retest on the higher time frames. So if I were to go over our 4-hour time frame, we have structure that was created here, right? And then we have, I'm not, does your meter trader have this long wick
Yeah. I saw it. Yeah.
on your meter trader?
Yeah.
All right. So it's doing a weak fill right there. So price is doing a weak fill. So we should see what it does when it reaches this high. I'd even say set up sell limits at this high. This is a very interesting high for
Okay.
price to reach. So
Gotcha.
if it does manage to do its weak fill and complete it, right, we should see price coming back. Especially it did retest last Friday, right? This week, if we go on the 1 hour time frame, we should see it properly. I'll go on the 1 hour time frame. So on the 1 hour time frame, this was the retest, right? It did retest, but yeah, technically it did retest, but then it's not that much of a significant retest, because on the 4 hour time frame or in the daily time frame, it didn't retest, and this is an area where price had been for a long time.
Yeah.
Considering that price had been here for a long time, you should see it coming back at some point. So I would say we can expect price to complete the week fill. It looks like it will complete the week fill, right? And then from there, we can expect price to at least reject this area, come back for the retest or even consolidate around here, and we could even get price dropping to this area before it pushes high. It's very similar to gold.
Yeah.
So if price on pound USD is trying to make a weak fill, right, we could see price reaching this area, right? That gives us more confirmation that we shouldn't enter sales on pound USD, I mean on euro USD just yet. We could see it consolidate a little bit more because bearish pressure isn't in the markets at the moment yet. The
Yeah.
markets are still very much bullish. So Euro USD could keep on range, even gold, they could keep on ranging until there is some bearish pressure in the markets, then they drop.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So I would say if you want, look out for this week fill. Let's see where it's at on the daily time frame. Yeah, it's not bad at all. Look out for the weak fill. On that weak fill, it might reject it and push price lower. Even especially with the fact that this is even much better. You see this price that I just put where this resistance, right?
Mhm.
The 41444.
Yeah.
Yes. So we are expecting price to reach the week fill, right? At around this level, right? So since everyone might be expecting price to reach that week fill and reject it, you can even expect price to give us a fake out and then drop.
Yeah.
So instead of setting our sell limits at this area, we would set them around this area so that they can take out everyone's stop losses and then
Yeah.
push price lower.
Right. That's
Is it making sense?
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what the banks are expecting. That is
Exactly,
going a
and
little bit.
that's what all of us retail traders are also expecting.
Yeah, yeah. That makes sense. So if I want to use an entry with this setup, if I want to, but I want to place my entry in like a 50-minute time frame, how do I approach this?
15-minute time, I would say wait until this bullish run clears, because if we are to enter right now, it would be buys only, and I'm not quite confident that this will last for long because it needs to retest on the higher time frames. Besides the retest, right? It looks like it's just trying to do a weak view, and if we look at all of the other pairs, they don't have as much bullish pressure as it does, right? So it might be reacting to last week's move that it was supposed to do but it didn't do. But for how long is it going to keep on going? So I would say watch out for bearish pressure or even rejections when it reaches the weak fill, and then from there it will go watch out for some structure to be created around this area, especially
Okay.
between these 2 points. So the weak
Okay.
and this one point
Resistance
put 144 resistance. Watch out for some,
structure.
yeah, some structure to happen in that area. Then
Okay.
that should give us where price is going next.
Okay.
Yes. All right. From there, I would not. I mean, if you wanted to enter buys, you could for the weak fill, but it's something that I'm not willing to risk,
No.
especially having that euro USD and gold are not moving. I not don't have as much bullish pressure as pound USD does.
Right.
Right. What's the next pair?
Right. Maybe New Zealand.
What would you like us to look at next?
New Zealand, maybe. Yeah.
What did you say?
New Zealand is good. Yeah. So is this New Zealand? Ah, no.
I can't hear you.
Do you hear me?
No, I didn't hear you. What did you say?
New Zealand.
New Zealand dollar USD.
Yeah.
Whew. Okay, interesting. All right, let's go on the way. Remember our trade from this low, I think, or was it this low? It should be this low. We're still holding it.
Mhm.
Do you remember it?
No, I don't remember exactly. It was a long time.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
long time ago. I'm still
Yeah.
holding it.
Ah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long swing. Wow.
Yes, yes, it is. All right. I'm quite interested in how you all have that week. I don't have that week on my MetaTrader on pound USD.
Let's see.
All right. Okay, New Zealand USD. We
Mm-hmm.
have the low from last week. It tried dropping last week though, but USD is not strong. Doesn't seem like it will be strong for a long time. We also have
Mm-hmm.
resistance, very similar to all of the other pairs. And then on the daily time frame, it looks like it's pushing higher, right? But what if it breaks here? That means it's definitely going to push all the way to the next resistance, especially considering that it's a weak fill. The question is, what are the chances that it will break below, if you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because right now we can't actually expect it to come back to this law, to retest
Mm-hmm.
this, because remember, this is the law that we talked about a long time ago, right? And then it
Mm-hmm.
broke out, and then it created support here, and then it came all the way up, right? And it created structure around this area, right? So this was our range, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now, since price has created structure around this area, we now have a strong support right here, so we can't expect price to just break support just like that.
Yeah.
So since price has been bullish for a long time, right, we could say price can come back to retest this area and then push higher. But then, even if we are talking about retesting that area, right, you can see with these weeks that price did try doing justice to this area. So there are chances that price could just keep on pushing higher. But since it's the beginning of the week, and I'm thinking we could still get a retest and then a push up. Not a retest for structure, but for the, if we go on our weekly time frame, for the lower week, for the retest, for the retracement, the weekly retracement before price is pushed higher, right? That's on the daily. We could expect price to come back here and then push higher. If we go on the 4 hour time frame, I could say the reason why I'm saying it might have done justice to this area, right? You can even see it on the 4 hour time frame that it did try staying around this area. It did try pushing lower, but price was strong, especially with news that came out on Friday. It pushed higher. So if we are looking at news that came out on Friday, right? That's where my point comes out. If price wanted to go higher, it should have. But this is the only candle, it created, right? And then price just ranged. So that means, or that shows me, that price is not ready to push any higher. We could see it still come back, especially to the bottom of our range before it pushes back up. And then you know how New Zealand dollar it consolidates a lot. So we could
Mm-hmm.
still find price coming back to the low and then push back up and then come back to the low before it does much.
Mm-hmm.
Because my point will always be, price, if it wanted to go higher, it should have at this low. If you understand
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
it didn't. Price stayed within the area. That's only pushing price lower.
Yeah.
So we should see price giving us some bearish, I don't know when, but we should see it giving us some bearish pressure at some point. It might even push all the way to the support of our range. So I would say if we go on the 1 hour time frame, we have structure that's being created over there. If you can see it, we have structure that's being created right here, right here. So for how long will price stay in this area? It might even give us a fake out and then push price lower,
Okay.
possibly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So I would, the same thing with all of the other pairs, right? I would not expect price to give us a buy setup here. I mean a buy setup. I would say maybe something like this for now. For now,
So
but not any. It might actually not sell today properly, right? But at the same time, even if it doesn't sell, I would not just enter a buy trade just because just because we couldn't find any other confirmed setup, and we just entered because we think it's gonna keep on going higher. Because if
yeah,
price wanted to go higher, it should have gone higher on Friday,
yeah,
but it didn't. So I would
yeah,
say we might get some action around this area for price to drop lower.
yeah.
Yes. The same thing with pound USD and euro USD.
And go.
Okay. Which pair next you would you like to do? Or do you have any questions?
No, that was pretty good. So that means like overall the market is pretty. It's been going very bullish. So everybody. So right now it makes more sense that it's going to go down.
Yes, it's been very bullish because of NFP on Friday.
Ah, okay.
Yes. NFP on Friday came out very negative for USD. So it's
Okay.
been very bullish.
Yeah.
But with
Okay.
even though with its bullishness, right? I still believe if price wanted to go higher,
Mm-hmm.
it would have gone by now, even like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
thing that pound USD did, right? It should have done
Yeah.
that by now.
Right.
So if price is failing to do that, I can only expect price to come back down into the range.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
We could say this is the London push, and then during New York we might see price pushing lower.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes, this could be the London push.
Nice.
Yes.
So the best pairs to look at this week is gold and Euro USD, or
Yes, gold, euro USD, even New Zealand
how?
dollar.
Okay.
Yes, because if you look at this, right, it's ranging nicely. If price
Mm-hmm.
manages to stay in this range, we should see it drop at some point because
Yeah.
it's not going any higher.
Yeah.
We should see it drop at some point. As long as it manages to keep rejecting the the high of this range, we might see price getting to 73 or 63, this area right here. That would be
Mm-hmm.
our fake out, and then price come back into the range. We
Yeah.
could see that happen.
Gotcha.
Yes.
All right, then I will just keep watching these, and then tomorrow I will
Tomorrow you will.
look at where I can place my sell limits and stuff.
Yes, even for, since it's only London session, right? It's only London session, so things could get better during New York session.
Okay.
So right now, price could be preparing for New York session. That's what I'm saying. We could get a push up right into this area. The price dips into this area and then rejects it. So price could push up as the London push. Because what happens is, let's say price is supposed to go down, right? Like for example, in this instance, right, what they will do is during London, right, let's say we had this structure going on, right, during London they could push price up so that people think price will keep on going higher the whole day, right? So they take out people's stop losses for those who were selling, and more people enter for buys, right? And then when it's now close to New York, they start showing us some structure, right?
Uh-huh.
Telling us that price could go higher, but what they are actually doing is they're just faking the price so that they can push it
Mm-hmm.
down
Yeah.
during
Yeah.
New York session. So sometimes
Yeah.
they can give us the London structure, price pushes higher, right? And then just before New York session, they drop price. And then the
Yeah.
beginning of New York session, they push it higher. And then
Yeah.
When New York stock market opens, they make the initial move.
Yeah.
So people would have been getting caught up in this move up. But then what they're not realizing that the initial move is actually coming. So if you are seeing structure like this, right, then you know like what might possibly be happening, because our theory is if price wanted to go higher, it should be going higher the same way pound USD is doing right now. So since it's not going higher, that means more chances of it are the correct chances of it are it falling, right? So if it's not falling right now and it's pushing higher, then that means they are trying to do a fake out, or they're accumulating more buyers for price to drop.
Mm,
They don't have enough sellers yet. I mean, they don't have
yeah.
enough buyers yet.
Yeah. They need
People to
to
start
get more
buying
bias to open the
exactly
next
for it to
big
drop.
position.
Yes.
Got you.
So that's
Yeah.
why we might see price dipping into this area, right?
To take everybody out.
Take everybody out, and then we get the initial move, the initial drop.
Got you.
Yes.
Because it has to fill out that area.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Besides it having to fill up that area, right? The only reason why it might not have dropped yet is because they don't have enough buyers
Bias.
in the market.
Yeah.
So we just need
Hmm.
enough buyers for price to drop.
Yeah.
Yes. That's what I'm
Nice.
thinking.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Same thing with gold and Euro USD,
Yeah.
because people are expecting them to keep pushing higher, because last week they left us pushing higher. With pound USD pushing higher, people are definitely expecting it to keep on pushing higher.
Higher. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, okay. Then I'll be watching these.
Yeah, so that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any questions?
No, that was perfect. That makes sense.
All right.
Yeah.
Do so you set up your your trading view so that you set up the zones properly and everything.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, that's good. And then
Yeah.
if you have any questions, or if you see something, or if you're not sure of a trade, please ask.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Definitely.
just let
I will
me
text
know.
you. Right.
Yes.
Definitely. All right. Then let's watch over it tomorrow again.
Yeah, I think that's good for today.
Yeah. That was definitely. I have all my zones. I know what to look at.
All
That was
right.
nice.
So that those trades are pretty much very nice trades, especially for
Yeah.
the week, if it
Yep.
does happen to happen that way. So just look
Yep.
out for them.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yes. All right.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
All right,
Speak
you
to you
too.
tomorrow.
You too.
All right. Thank you.